of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
The Twins' bats sprung to life yesterday in Chicago after a tough series in Detroit that saw the Twins get outscored 22-1. Minnesota responded with 10 hits and 6 runs yesterday to get its first win of the Paul Molitor era. Today it is a picture-perfect day in Chicago as the Twins try for their first series win. While the White Sox are desperate to get one in the win column, Chicago 0-4 to start its season. A big opportunity for Mike Pelfrey to prove himself as a starter for the Twins. Recently added to the rotation, this is the start of his chance to stay there while Jeff Samardzija returns to Chicago, but as a member of the Southside team, he's making his second start in a White Sox uniform today. I'm Jamie Hirsch inside U.S. Cellular Field, where it is a beautiful day for baseball. The Twins are all smiles in the dugout after getting their first win of the season yesterday, and it was also the first win for new Twins manager Paul Molitor. After the game, he received a very warm welcome from his team in the clubhouse.
But the players were up at the top of the stairs waiting for me after coming in from the little post-game interview. It was unexpected, but it was nice. You know, it's kind of one of those things where you try to build relationships with your players throughout the spring, and then they kind of, support you like that. It makes you feel really good. And, it's one game, but obviously your first win as a manager, our first win of the season. It feels good to get that one out of the way. But it was nice to have them greet me like that. I didn't really know how to react, but it was pretty nice.
A day to remember for Molitor, but now he's looking for more. That'll start with a good outing from Mike Pelfrey, who returns to the rotation today.
And by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. and by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import.
It is an absolutely perfect day for baseball in Chicago. Game 2 between the Twins and the White Sox. The Twins held to just 1 run through 3 games in Detroit. Erupted for 6 yesterday, including Brian Dozier's first home run of the year and the team's first home run of the year. Boy, we're glad to be with you for Twins baseball today. Dick Bramer along with Bert Blyleven. Perfect weather conditions. The Twins hope to make it 2 in a row. Mike Pelfrey lost out in spring training in his battle to be the 5th Twin starter, yet here he is. First time the 5th starter spot comes up, and there he is on the mound.
Yeah, with Irvin Santana going on the suspended list, it opened up the door and the opportunity for Mike Pelfrey to start, and that's what he wants to do. He had a very good spring training. This is a second chance. Now, last time he pitched for the Twins back on May 1st, went on a disabled list the next day, and then about a month later had some elbow surgery. He said he's fine. He said he's raring to go.
Meanwhile, the White Sox are coming back with their opening day starter. No stranger to the Twins. The Twins last saw him last year when he was pitching for the Oakland A's, Jeff Samardzija.
Well, he's making another start here in Chicago. It's just that for 7 seasons, he wore a Chicago Cubs uniform. Here making his first White Sox start here at U.S. Cellular Field. Didn't go very well for him in his opening day debut in Kansas City. The White Sox ended up losing 10-1.
Last year here at U.S. Cellular Field, the Twins averaged over 7 runs a game. In yesterday's opening game of this series, they scored 6. How many will they get here this afternoon? We'll find out in a moment. Trying to speed up the pace of play. It's already 1-1 to Danny Santana in the leadoff spot. He takes a strike. He's taken 3 pitches. The first one off the plate. The next one on the outside corner. That one clipped the inside corner, and we're underway.
Yeah, looking for his first hit. 0 for 12 so far. Got the day off yesterday.
5 strikeouts in his first 12 at bats.
And he's facing Jeff Samardzija. Tall right-hander.
Ball down the left field line. It'll be chased by Cabrera. He won't get there. Santana has his first hit, and he'll hold up with a single. Cabrera getting to that ball quickly. And Santana not only gets his first base hit, but it comes with 2 strikes in the count.
A good piece of hitting right here. Ball out over the plate. Samardzija has a very good splitter. Looked like a fastball. And Santana taking it right down that left field line. Thought about second base, but as you mentioned, Cabrera did a good job getting over there and cutting it off.
And now Brian Dozier will hit. Santana a threat to steal. The Twins, despite his slow start, picture Santana hitting in the leadoff spot primarily, and the capability of scoring 100 runs. Now the Twins need to do more hitting than they've done in the first 4 games for that to happen, but they really like these 2 guys in the first 2 spots in terms of their ability to get on base and come around to score.
Yeah, only the 3rd time they have faced Samarzo. They did face him last year when he was with the Oakland A's, but for Santana, he'll get some advice over there by Butch Davis, the first base coach. Santana last year, 20 stolen bases in 24 attempts.
Look down the line, hit hard but foul. The White Sox have their backup catcher, veteran Giovanni Soto, behind the plate. We'll see whether that impacts the Twins' inclination to run here. Much of it depends on how quick that guy on the mound gets rid of the ball.
Well, Soto also caught Samarzo when they were teammates with the Chicago Cubs.
And there goes Santana with a big leg kick. Santana steals second base. Now the second baseman Johnson claiming he may have tagged Santana's foot in the head-first slide attempt, but we'll see if the White Sox decide to challenge this.
Right. Went on a good pitch right there, a breaking ball, so a couple extra splits, and you can see Santana having a tough time getting those hands out. He kind of dove into the bag. His hands went into the chest, but able to cross the bag and keep his back feet or his feet on the bag.
No challenge by the White Sox. We said yesterday at about this time, these situations will be interesting to watch early in Paul Molitor's managerial tenure, because Paul, of course, was a very aggressive and smart base runner, and Twins worked on that a lot in spring training. 1-2 to Dozier, and a grounder to short. Santana stuck at second, and Dozier's retired away. And then we'll bring up Mauer. And of course, throughout the Detroit series, the Twins, A, didn't get many guys on base, B, didn't get the right guys on base, and then C, were behind early so much against the Tigers that they really didn't get a chance to use what they hope will be an improved part of their game. Here's Bauer. Drove in the first run of the ball game yesterday with a first inning single. And strike one.
Not a lot of at-bats against Samarzo, but for Joe Mauer for the Twins. But Joe Mauer, 1 hit in 2 at-bats.
Fouled away, 2 strikes. The Menards batting order for the Twins. Twins with a little bit of a different look here, with Santana back in the leadoff spot, then Dozier, Mauer, Vargas moving up a spot, Torrey Hunter getting the day off, Trevor Plouffe, Oswaldo Arcia, Chris Herman behind the plate, Shane Robinson in right field, and the number 9 batter, Jordan Schaefer. 2 strikes to Mauer. 1-2.
Samar's a good fastball in the low 90s, mid 90s range, split finger. That's been his strikeout pitch over his young career, and mixes in a slider. 30 years old.
1-2. And the inside move that was effective from the left side for Tommy Malone yesterday. That pickoff of Micah Johnson, a big turning point in the ball game yesterday. Twins had a 1-0 lead. 1-2 again to Mauer. And lifted to short left. The shortstop Ramirez out, and he will make the catch, out number 2. Oakland Ford defense for the White Sox. Melky Cabrera in left, Adam Eaton in center, Avisail Garcia in right. Connor Gillespie back in at third base. Ramirez, Johnson up the middle. LaRoche getting the start at first base. Abreu's their DH. And as we mentioned, Giovanni Soto behind the plate. Kenny Vargas, a chance to drive in his first run of the season. Moving up into the cleanup spot. Down and in, ball 1. Vargas with 3 hits, 13 at bats.
Looking for his first run batted in on the season.
Swing and a miss.
So Marza was the opening day starter for the Chicago White Sox. As I mentioned earlier, he lost 10-1. He worked into the 7th inning. He ended up giving up 5 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. He did hit 2 batters. Kind of started that 3-game series off on a note of guys kind of protecting each other. The teams were.
1-2 now to Vargas. So Marger trying to pitch around the leadoff single and stolen base by Danny Santana. 4 batters have had a 1-2 count with Samardzija. And he was up and in, strikes out Vargas, and Santana stranded at second base. This team can get into the win column. They're the last American League team, or will be whenever it happens. They'll be the last American League team to get a win. The Menards batting order for the White Sox in Game 2. Adam Eaton, Melky Cabrera, Jose Abreu, their designated hitter. Then Adam LaRoche, Avisail Garcia, Alexei Ramirez, Connor Gillespie, Giovanni Soto, and Micah Johnson.
And let's hope that win comes Monday for the Chicago White Sox. And on the mound, it'll be Mike Pelfrey making his first start. Those are his numbers from last year, and I think I can speak for Mike Pelfrey. The last 3 years have been very frustrating to him, having the Tommy John surgery, not having a very good year a couple years ago for the Twins, and then having surgery again last year.
Strike on the outside corner.
So he's got a chance here. He was penciled in for the bullpen with Irvin Santana's suspension. He gets another opportunity to start. So here it is. Take advantage of it.
And missing the inside corner, 1-1.
A very good spring training. He probably won the job out of spring training, but Tommy Malone, being the left-hander, kind of got in the forefront. Pelfrey was scheduled to start out of the bullpen. Good change up there.
Line to left, and coming in a few steps, Arcia puts it away. 1 down. Northland Ford defense for the Twins has Arcia in left. Schaefer in center. Shane Robinson getting his first start for the Twins in right field. Trevor Plouffe, Danny Santana, Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer, Chris Herman behind the plate. The day already getting off to a better start for Herman. So when he started in Detroit, the first pitch was fouled into his mask, and he cut his head up a little bit and ended up leaving with some wooziness. Down and in, ball 1. Pelfrey felt little slighted, I guess, when he did not win the competition for the 5th starter's position, saying he finally was healthy and wanted to show the Twins that he can be an effective starting pitcher. This one down the left field line, And Arcia glides over, makes the catch. They've been keeping Arcia busy in this series, and he's so far this year handled everything just fine.
Well, good fastball right there. Creates that off the end of the bat. Swing the other way, and Cabrera. 2 fly ball outs for the White Sox, both of them to Arcia.
Jose Abreu, the designated hitter, will hit. Pelfrey was a little upset, expressed his displeasure, saying, "I was not outpitched." Beyond that, he questioned whether there was actually fair competition for the 5th spot. The very next day, he met with the general manager and the manager. They got things straightened out. Pelfrey accepted, at least publicly, his role in the bullpen, but was told originally by general manager Terry Ryan, "Be ready, something might happen." Boy, did it ever happen.
Yes, it did.
Roller to short.
Good first inning.
3 quick outs in a very good first inning on 7 pitches. Pelfrey sets the White Sox down 1-2-3. All right, thank you very much. That sounds fun, but it can't possibly be as much fun as it is being here. It is absolutely a perfect day for baseball. And we're very happy that wherever you are, you're watching the Twins today. Trevor Plouffe leading off the second against Jeff Samardzija. Trevor off to a bit of a slow start, but in Samardzija, someone that he's anxious to face. Samardzija, in limited duty, granted, has given up 10 runs to the Twins, 5 of those driven in by Trevor Plouffe. But now he's up here starting the second with the bases empty. 1-2. Trevor with a couple of hits against Samardzija. I say Samardzija through spring and in his first start against Kansas City really struggled with his command. Two and two. And I think if you watched yesterday's game, you saw how important command is for a pitcher. Tommy Malone was brilliant in the ball game yesterday, throwing almost exclusively fastballs because he had great command of his fastball. Right center field. And Garcia going back. That's over his head. Plouffe continues to hit Samardzija well. He's got a double, and he'll hold up there.
Yeah, first extra base hit, the second hit of the season for Trevor Plouffe. So he took that fastball the other way. And Garcia out in right field kind of went across and then realized this ball was hit further than he anticipated. Now he goes back. It's over his head all the way to the wall. And a leadoff double for Plouffe.
Twins had this situation in the first inning. Santana at second, nobody out. Santana never got to third base. Here's Arcia. Foul back. You know, the Twins won yesterday 6-0, but they left the bases full 3 times. It's not as if somebody hit the switch and suddenly they were getting clutch hits up and down the batting order.
You know, what makes a good ball club, Dick, is, situations like this. Guy on second base, nobody out. Move him over somehow. Try to pull that ball. Brian Dozier was unable to do it. Arcia's job here, trying to get Plouffe over to third. Or drive him in with a base hit to right.
One strike. Hit hard, but it will hook, and hook foul. 2 strikes. It's so important, and was even when there were a lot more runs scored, but now things have changed in baseball. Last year, of course, run scoring, batting average down, and boy, the first week of the season this year, 11 shutouts already in the American League.
And you want to, what you want to do, you want to get that run on the board first. In yesterday's ballgame, even Tommy Malone mentioned, that one run that the Twins put on in the first inning with Bauer's RBI single, that relaxes you a little bit.
Of course, it works the other way, too. The Tigers in the Detroit series scored not just 1, but 2 or 3 early, and it really changes things. No question that so far this year, the pitchers are way ahead of the hitters. So you've got another opportunity here with a runner at second, nobody out, and Arcia needs to have a productive at-bat. Foul back, hanging tough with 2 strikes.
So Marshall tried that fastball that struck out Vargas to end the first inning. Fastball up. I think he wanted that middle in, but left out over the plate.
4 straight fouls for Arcia. Now 5.
And a change up right there might have been the split finger. 7 seasons he wore a Cubs uniform, and then last year traded to the Oakland A's. And then traded over the winter to the White Sox from Oakland.
Another 0-2 to Arcia. Another foul. He was acquired by the White Sox as a right-handed complement to Chris Sale. The Twins will face Samardzija today and Sale tomorrow. Sale will be making his 2015 debut.
Samardzija just put into the Cub rotation back in 2012. Basically came up as a reliever in the bullpen.
Tight 1-2.
What he's been able to do the last couple of years, pitch over 200 innings a season. A couple of years ago, 214. Last year combined between Chicago and Oakland, 220.
Eighth pitch of this at bat. Roll to the right side.
Good at bat.
Johnson's going to have to hurry and just barely gets Arcia, who battled, and ended up advancing Plouffe to third.
But he really didn't hustle out of the box. If he hustles out of the box, he kind of nonchalantly maybe went the third of the way, and it was a bang-bang play. Johnson using his glove to get it over to LaRoche, but Arcia does his job and gets Plouffe over to third. Now it's up to Chris Herman to drive him in. See right there. Now he kind of kicks it in. If he goes all the way, he might have beat that out.
Here's Chris Herman. That is a hot shot past the first baseman, LaRoche. Herman hooking one into the corner. Plouffe comes in, and Herman wants another one. And he is in with a triple. A much better start in Chris Herman's second start as catcher. He survived the first inning intact and hooks the first pitch into the right field corner for an RBI triple.
Yeah, only his second official at-bat. He does pick up an RBI. Twins' first triple of the year belongs to Chris Herman, and the Twins have a 1-0 lead. hooking that ball past the diving LaRoche into that corner.
And the battle that Arcia had, and fighting and fouling off pitches and eventually advancing the runner to third base, brought the infield in, and maybe was the difference between that ball being fielded by LaRoche and not. So just a fundamental little thing there, just trying to put the ball in play rather than striking out, and getting the runner in has led to 1 run and maybe more here in the second. 1-0 to Shane Robinson, and now again the infield in, and they are really in for Robinson. Everybody in on the grass on the outside corner. You got the shortstop Ramirez, who's a step onto the grass, and Johnson similarly starting the pitch in on the grass. Taken low, 2-1. Robinson 0 for 1 as a batter. Did score a run in yesterday's game as a pinch runner.
Well, with the Cardinals, he did face Samardzija a couple times. 4 at-bats. He has a couple hits.
2-1. And a flare to right, a base hit. Robinson gets the job done, and it's 2-0.
Yeah, breaking ball left up right there, and Shane Robinson driving in his first run as a Minnesota Twin. So a 2-0 quick lead here for the Twins. Watch the breaking ball stay up. Good piece of hitting right there by Robinson. Taking that ball the other way. Herman scoring the second run of the inning.
So in the inning, the Twins have a single, double, and triple, and yet maybe the most important at bat of the whole inning was Arcia's dribbler to the right side after he fell behind quickly 0-2. Here is Jordan Schaefer. Schaefer slaps one foul, 1 strike. The White Sox, the only winless team in the American League, and everyone is startled here by it. And maybe they shouldn't be quite as startled as they are. This is a team that really played poorly the final week of spring training. Robin Ventura had a meeting late in spring training, very unhappy with how his team was playing. And you don't very often see or hear of team meetings in spring training, but he saw some things he really didn't like, tried to address it with the team. They've carried forward into the regular season, and they've not done much of anything well. They haven't had a quality start. Samardzija doesn't appear to be razor sharp here. He was lucky to get out of the first inning without allowing a run. And there's 2 strikes.
And keep an eye on Robinson at first base. Very good speed. Samardzija does have that high leg kick. Danny Santana stole from second base in the first inning.
2 strikes. And fouled away. What we have seen today so far from Samardzija, the ability to get to 2 strikes with hitters, but not being able to put them away.
Last couple of years, he's averaged a strikeout per inning, covering almost 430 innings. Only had 1 strikeout in his opening day assignment in Kansas City in 6+ innings.
Another 2-strike pitch. Robinson signing a minor league deal with the Twins, added to the 40-man roster once the cuts were made in spring training. And pretty much the same pitch that struck out Vargas gets Schaefer for out number 2 here in the second.
Samardzija picks up strikeout number 2.
Today's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Last 9 games here in Chicago, the Twins have hit well. They've scored a lot of runs. They've hit it over the fence. One of the main reasons the Twins won the series with the White Sox last year is their performance here on the road. Here's Danny Santana, dumped a single down the left field line his first time up. Stole second base and was left there. On the way, ball one.
There he goes.
Robinson goes. And the ball deflected into short right center field. And Robinson will scamper for third. And he is in there. Well, the Twins do indeed run the bases aggressively. They've got a couple of steals against Samardzija and Soto.
Yeah, I tell you what, Samardzija has that high leg kick. And sure enough, there goes Shane Robinson. Got a good jump right here. Head first slide. Then picked up the ball and hustled over to third. Eaton, good strong throw. Gillespie did everything he could to keep the ball in front of him.
2-0 now to Santana. Swing and a foul. We've seen Soto throw twice. Both throws have been high and wide.
Robinson gets a stolen base, and then the error by Soto, where he advanced to third.
2-1 to Santana. 3-1 with Dozier on deck. Already 42 pitches for Jeff Samardzija. And that slap to left, a base hit. Santana with his first 2 hits of the year and a 2-out single, scoring Robinson, and it's 3-0.
Well, sometimes you get that first hit, it relaxes you a little bit. Samardzija fell behind, came in with a fastball, and Santana driving in his first run of the season on his second straight hit. So a 3-0 Twins lead.
5 hits in 10 at-bats against Samardzija. So far, 3 runs. And keep an eye on Santana here with 2 outs and Dozier at the plate. Big leg kick. And Dozier drives it into the left field corner. Santana rounding second. On his way to third. He will be waved home. Another 2-out hit. Dozier driving in Santana, and it's 4-0. Jeff Samardzija's first start in front of his new hometown crowd, and they're not too pleased.
Well, Dozier's first double of the year, driving in his second run, jumping on that first pitch. Kind of a spinner, hung right there. And Bryant opening up, lining it into that left field corner. By the time Cabrera could kind of play the carom and Santana's speed, he scores from first base. See that ball roll around in the corner? Big 4 runs put on the board by the Twins here in the top of the second.
And scored 3 in the 9th yesterday to break it open a little bit, but now a 4 spot in the second, and Mauer will hit with Dozier at second and 2 away. Mauer popped to short. Now he takes a strike. 28 pitches for Samardzija this inning. Up and away.
On yesterday's ballgame, even though the Twins only scored 1 run off of Noesi, he threw 58 pitches in 2 innings.
Well, this is nice to see for the Twins. A couple of big 2-out hits to tack on a couple more runs, and they're still batting. Takes up around the hands, and it's 2-1. left field line, twisting foul and back into the seats.
Now, Zamarza making his 101st Major League start, his 224th appearance, 36 Major League wins, 49 losses, an ERA under 4 at 3.88. There's 5 complete games in his 100 Major League starts and 1 shutout, and that came against the White Sox back in 2013 when he was with the Cubs.
And Mauer strikes out to finally end the inning. But in the inning, the Twins get 5 hits and put 4 runs up on the board early against the Sox.
In Chicago, the fun and the smiles have returned to the Twins clubhouse after getting that first win yesterday. The music was blaring. Torrey Hunter actually led a little pregame chant and dance right before this. He said, "Winning cures everything," and the Twins know that win is largely due to the outstanding outing by Tommy Milone. Trevor Plouffe said, "When you see a guy in a zone like he was yesterday, it keeps us all sharper in the field. It also gets us off the field and ready to score some runs," which is exactly what happened yesterday. The Twins know this season all comes down to starting pitching, and Tommy Milone will be a big part of that, guys.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Twins shifting Adam LaRoche, and you saw him bluff for a bunt. There's only one infielder on the left side, and that is the shortstop, Danny Santana. Fouled away. It's been a challenging start to LaRoche's White Sox career. He is 1 for 14 with 8 strikeouts, but he is 9 for 13 against Mike Pelfrey. And I'm guessing not many, if any, of those 9 hits were bunt singles. That's hit well to left center field. And a home run for LaRoche.
Well, that's why they went out and signed Andy LaRoche for that reason right there, replacing Adam Dunn as a designated hitter. And this guy, he did win a Gold Glove when he was a first baseman for the Washington Nationals, but Abreu will get most of the time there. And Pelfrey with the fastball away, and the numbers you talked about, Dick, just multiplied right there. LaRoche taking that pitch the other way. His first home run for the White Sox, his 244th in his career.
Avisail Garcia. White Sox shut out yesterday. They won't be shut out today. It's to right center field toward the gap. Off the warning track and into the seats, and on back-to-back pitches, Pelfrey gives up a pair of extra base hits.
Yeah, both those balls left up a little bit. A breaking ball, and Garcia hitting it the other way. His second double of the year. So Chris Herman out to talk to his big right-hander. Try to get him back down in the strike zone. You don't mind giving up a home run. You have a 4-run lead. Okay, it's a home run, 4-1. It's how you do after that.
Alexei Ramirez will bat. Breeze through the first inning. 1, 2, 3 on 7 pitches. Back-to-back pitches have been pounded pretty hard. Drop to the right side. 3 consecutive pitches put in play. Garcia to third, 1 away.
And a productive out by Ramirez right there, advancing the runner from second to third.
Did you hang with that Red Sox-Yankee game last night? It was on TV.
No, I did not.
You did not? I gave up in the 12th inning, and then they played for another 3 hours. 2 extra inning ties. The Red Sox scored, I think, in the 14th. And the Yankees tied it in the bottom of the inning. Same thing in the 18th. And finally, the Red Sox won it in the 19th inning. Connor Gillespie will hit with 1 out.
I like that. Mark Teixeira, on yesterday, today's his birthday. Started at 34, ended at 35. He probably felt 5 years older.
Again on the first pitch, put in play. Gillespie makes it a 4-2 ball game. Well, the White Sox jumping on Pelfrey's first offerings here. He got 3 outs on 7 pitches, and now there have been 4 at-bats completed. 2 runs, 3 hits on the next 6 pitches.
And Gillespie picking up an RBI single, his first run batted in on the year.
So a 4-2 ball game, and here's Giovanni Soto. Off the outside corner, ball 1. Soto and Tyler Flowers figure to do the catching for the White Sox this year. Swing and a miss at 94. We've seen Pelfrey a tick or 2 higher than that already today. 1-1.
Yeah, Soto like Samardzija both came up with the Chicago Cubs. Spent 8 seasons with the Cubs. In the last couple, 2-3 years with the Rangers and the A's.
Base hit right field. 4th hit of the inning. And the tying runs at first with only 1 out. They've all been well hit balls as well. Neil Allen's going to come out and try to get Pelfrey straightened out. Owning Twins season tickets provides much more than a guaranteed seat. Season ticket holders enjoy exclusive rewards as part of the Sweet Spot Benefits Program. A season ticket plan will fit every fan. You can learn more about package options by visiting twinsbaseball.com or by calling 800-33-TWINS.
Quick trip to the mound by the pitching coach, Neil Allen. Allen says his piece. Pelfrey can get the ball down, back on the ground. That's what he did in spring training. Got a lot of ground ball outs. He had a good sinker. Just leaving some pitches up here in the second inning.
Tough guy to double up here. Micah Johnson, one of the fastest runners in the league. Bunted for a single in the ball game yesterday. Plouffe in on the grass at third. White Sox only got 3 hits in the ball game yesterday. They've gotten 4 here in the second inning. 1.
And if you're Trevor Plouffe, Joe Mauer playing even with the bag, but Plouffe has to come in on the grass. Take the bunt away.
It's a swing and a foul. 1-1.
Change up right there.
That's a pitch that Pelfrey has worked on a lot with Neil Allen. A split-fingered changeup that he's added to his arsenal. Paul Molitor saying before the game today that Pelfrey is also trying to reincorporate a slower breaking ball that he had when he was with the Mets. 1-1 to Micah Johnson. Ball wide of the plate. That might have been it there.
I think that's it right there. You can almost see the ball coming out of his hand, and that's why it was outer half of the plate. Didn't really follow through with it.
2-1 to the number 9 batter. Fastball at 93. All of it, the adding of the split finger pitch and trying to recover a feel for a breaking pitch is intended to give Pelfrey better chance at hitters the second and third time he faces them.
And that fastball, if you throw enough off-speed pitches like a breaking ball or a changeup, that 93 mile-an-hour fastball looks a little quicker.
2-2. And a strikeout of Johnson for out number 2.
Another fastball. And Pelfrey picks up a big strikeout, his first.
That's pitching, isn't it? I mean, he showed him a changeup, showed him a low 70s breaking ball, and then got him with 2 fastballs.
Adding and subtracting.
Movement on that fastball. Now Eaton. White Sox have scored 2, and Pelfrey hoping that he can leave 2 aboard at the end of this at bat. Eaton with a fly to left. His first time up. Over for strike 1.
Looks like a breaking ball. Something off speed. Might have been the split finger.
Dribbler foul, another off-speed pitch. You know, maybe the trip to the mound was nothing more than Allen reminding him of these other pitches. We've seen much more off-speed stuff than we saw in the first 8 at-bats.
Yeah, I saw him pitch a couple times in spring training. He had that nasty sinker, created a lot of ground ball outs, but right now that fastball or sinker's up a little bit, and that's why the White Sox may have taken advantage of it.
2 strikes now to Adam Eaton.
Trying to make the adjustment.
No time called by the batter. There won't be a balk. Home plate umpire John Hirschbeck stopped Pelfrey. At least I think he did. No balk has been called. Hirschbeck pointed to Eaton. And Eaton now talking with Hirschbeck.
Yeah, it's up to the umpire to determine whether he calls timeout or not. Eaton wanting timeout.
We could see the little gesture, Hirschbeck with his left arm in the process of calling time, but then Pelfrey looked like he was going to deliver the pitch, so Hirschbeck had to resume the position of calling the pitch. Play by Mauer. He'll get the play himself, and Pelfrey gives up a flurry of hits and just a handful of pitches. Gives 2 runs back, but he leaves 2 aboard.
your link to what's next by NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino, the best.
First pitch, ball one to Kenny Vargas, leading off the Twins' third in a 4-2 game. Vargas struck out against Samardzija to wrap up the first inning. And that's laced foul down the left field line. 1-1. Samardzija had to have had one of the hottest all-star experiences in history. He was named a National League All-Star representing the Chicago Cubs, but by the time the game was played at Target Field, he was a member of an American League club, the Oakland A's. He was introduced, but in reality couldn't pitch because the league that he won his All-Star berth with was the opposing team. And with the All-Star game dictating home field advantage, 1-2. 2-2. You can imagine a scenario where Samardzija, if he was going to pitch representing the National League, they'd just throw cookies over the plate to his Oakland teammates.
Here, Josh Donaldson. Here you go, hit it.
2-2 to Vargas, and ball grounded sharply. Nice pickup by LaRoche, and Samardzija there covering the bag. You talked about LaRoche's defensive prowess. He showed it off there. A hot ground ball turned into an out.
Well, there it was last year, July 4th, named to the All-Star team and then traded away. In the offseason, a 6-player transaction between the Oakland A's and the Chicago White Sox.
One down. Here's Plouffe. Started the 4-run second when, after 2 strikes, fouled off a couple of pitches, then drove one to the gap in right center field for a leadoff double. 4 more hits followed, and the Twins had a 4-0 lead. So, as LaRoche has seen Pelfrey very well and had great success, so too Trevor Plouffe is in limited duty. Really enjoyed hitting against Samardzija. Strike 2, 1-2. 2 hits, 13 at bats now for Plouffe. Both starting pitchers would like for a better third inning than second. Tapper, weakly hit. Johnson scoops, fires, 2 down. For Arcia's at bat every weeknight, don't miss MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around is weeknights at 6 p.m. Central. Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Arcia fell behind quickly 0-2, but fouled off 4 more pitches after 2 strikes. Eventually hit a tapper to the right side that helped open up the inning. On the outside corner, strike 1. It advanced. Plouffe from second to third. White Sox brought the infield in. Herman spanked a double past a leaping LaRoche into the right field corner. 3 more hits followed, and the Twins had their lead. Here's a liner out of the reach of Johnson. And Arcia's aboard, beating the shift with a hooking line drive for Arcia.
Yeah, Johnson playing a short right field. Ball still just got over his glove, and Arcia picks up a hit. Breaking ball just kind of hung right there. Arcia hitting it solidly into right field.
Here is Herman. Jumped on the first pitch he saw and hit that triple into the right field corner. And he's able to make a plate appearance as a starting catcher. Remember, in Detroit, he had to leave right before his spot in the batting order came up with the cut on the bridge of his nose and the dizziness, wooziness, 1-1. Talked with Chris before the game today. I asked him, you know, how much catching he did last year. We saw him a lot in the outfield. He caught 1 inning last year in Colorado. He caught a Glenn Perkins inning. That was the only time this catcher actually caught last year. Foul. Butch Davis ducks out of the way.
Well, you know, he has been concentrating so much, and also the organization, on making him a utility type player that can play anywhere on the field. Well, we mentioned before, I mean, Chris Herman himself said, I'd rather catch than really do anything else. Signed by the Twins in 2009 out of the University of Miami.
Lifted foul, protecting the plate. He spent most of the year last year in Rochester, where he did some catching, but up here, of course, mainly used as a spare outfielder.
Well, 6 minor league seasons, a .263 hitter in the minor leagues, 34 home runs. Well, 4 stints last year with the Twins, between AAA and Minnesota.
Samardzija has seen the Twins steal a couple of bases on him. Maybe overly conscious of Arce at first. Arce is one of those guys that if the pitcher ignores him, he might take off. Outside 2-2. I thought there was a scenario through spring training where Herman made the team as a super utility player in addition to either Josmiel Pinto or Eric Fryer, who were fighting for the backup catching spot. Nearly to the backstop, 3-2. And as it turned out, the Twins kept just Herman and Suzuki as catchers. Suzuki, by the way, is fine. The game ended on a rather odd play. Adam Eaton sliding home and grabbing Suzuki's arm and unintentionally twisting it, and then intentionally, it appeared, trying to open his glove, but Suzuki's just fine.
You know, I thought about that play after the ball game. The throw that Eduardo Escobar made was perfect, especially when he's running out to short left field to make that second out catch.
There's Arce, and the pitch grounded to Johnson from the outfield grass. He throws him out, and it is a much better third inning than second for Jeff Samardzija.
Well, a good inning for the Twins. Trevor Poole started off with a double and an RBI triple by Chris Herman. Shane Robinson picking up his first RBI in a Twins uniform. Santana an RBI single. Dozier's RBI double made it a 4-0 lead, but the White Sox came right back. LaRoche for the home run. And they added another base hit off the bat of Connor Gillespie. So 4-2, and for Zamarza, the top of the third was good, and hopefully it's going to be the same for Mike Pelfrey here.
Switch hitter Melky Cabrera, then right-hand hitting Jose Abreu, and then LaRoche, the lefty. Cabrera breaking ball down and in, bluffing a bunt.
Cabrera, switch hitter in his first season with the White Sox. Signing a 3-year contract as a free agent over the winter.
Foul, 1-1.
Good hitter from both sides of the plate. Last year with the Toronto Blue Jays, hit .301 in 139 games, 16 home runs.
Foul. 1-2. White Sox and the Brewers, the only 0-4 teams in baseball now. Chop left side, past to diving Klute. Cabrera's aboard with a single. I'll bring up Abreu right now to take a look at our CarSoup.com trivia question. Shutouts to the Twins have all time at U.S. Cellular Field. Malone took the game into the 8th inning with a shutout. Brian Dunsing finished it off. So we're looking for a specific number, and generally when that question comes up, there's a plus or minus factor of 3 that we are allowed up here in the booth. So I think if we say 4, that would cover numbers 1 through 7. Here's Abreu.
And I would have to say 11 then.
Okay. Well, it was here that Francisco Liriano had his no-hitter, so that we know of at least 2. 1-0 to Abreu. Twins have done a nice job jamming him and keeping his bat fairly quiet so far in this series. Wave and a miss on a breaking ball. 1-1.
Hit .391 last year against the Twins. 27 hits in 69 at-bats. Those are his hot zones last year against Twins pitching.
Tommy Malone must have looked at that chart because he kept burying that ball up and in to Abreu. 1-1. 2-1.
Ball getting away from Chris Herman, but Cabrera staying at first.
If we really like to get this guy, maybe even get a double play grounder because of who's on deck. Roche absolutely owns Pelfrey. Started the White Sox rally with a home run his first time up. Hold by Pelfrey. So there will be 2 men aboard for LaRoche's at bat against Pelfrey.
That looked like Pelfrey trying to come back in again, and the ball just a little bit too far inside. And Abreu does not give away. Hit on that left arm. Big strong man, make sure the ball is okay.
Makes the same sound it used to make when it hit Don Baylor. Kind of just felt sorry for the baseball. Well, here's LaRoche, who with his second inning home run is now 10 for 14 in his career against Mike Pelfrey. Adam tell you yesterday that Dave was going to be here today.
Said his dad was coming today, so he's somewhere in the house. Of course, Dave LaRoche, left-handed pitcher, pitched for the Twins in the early 70s.
On the outside corner, a strike.
I remember when he pitched for the Yankees, he didn't do it with the Twins, but he had that lob.
coincidentally or not, Pelfrey trying to get Dave's son out with off-speed stuff here. 1-1. Back-to-back off-speed pitches. Pelfrey handed an early 4-0 lead, but it's a very tenuous hold of a lead right now at 4-2. And there's the fastball for a called strike.
I don't believe his brother is playing anymore, is he?
He's in the White Sox organization.
Is he down in the minor leagues? I know he was in spring training. I don't know if they let him go or not.
1-2.
Brother Andy.
Now 2-2. This has been kind of a critical point in Pelfrey's Twins career, the second time through the batting order. The second inning, the first time through, a lot of the White Sox batters had some good swings at the ball very hard against Pelfrey. It's not close, and it's a full count with Garcia on deck. Six of the last 9 plate appearances have been successful ones against Pelfrey, starting with LaRoche's home run. LaRoche, despite his success against Pelfrey, very strikeout prone. 3-2. And he will draw walks as well. He's just drawn one on the first 3 batters reach here in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, base hit batsman. Now the walk to LaRoche.
Garcia doubled off the warning track in right center. Teeing off on the first pitch, and here comes pitching coach Neil Allen again. The Twins got a great start from Tommy Malone yesterday, and Pelfrey a little wobbly here in the 2nd and 3rd inning. You can follow Twins baseball all season this year with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Twins would like to get 6 innings or more from Pelfrey for many reasons, not the least of which is Casey Fiend probably not available. Casey wasn't available yesterday with some stiffness in his right shoulder, and it might very well be, in fact likely is, that Fiend's unavailable today. Big spot here for Pelfrey, bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, Garcia jumping on that first pitch in his first at bat, the double the other way.
At the knees, a strike. Where we saw Pelfrey in the first inning 95, even 96 miles per hour. Now his fastball settling in at 93, but maybe with a little more movement. At least that's the hope. One and one. Sinking fastball.
Good location of that sinker, down and in. Pelfrey has 1 strikeout. That's Johnson in the 2nd inning. A little movement down and in.
Pelfrey more of a pitch to contact guy though. 1-2. Fastball inside 2-2.
Tried to go back to it.
Pelfrey pitched 200 innings or more twice. 2008 with the Mets, 200 2/3 innings, only 110 strikeouts. Then 204 innings in 2010 and 113 strikeouts.
2-2 to Avisail Garcia. The Twins have the infield back at double play depth. They love a ground ball hit at somebody. That hits Pelfrey and rolls towards the hole. Everyone's safe. That it hit the pitcher may have kept the ball from going up the middle for a 2-run single. As it is, it's an RBI hit in a 1-run ball game.
And then on the other side, if it gets through Pelfrey without hitting it, Brian Dozier may have been there to turn a double play. But he got ahead of Garcia. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he missed an even account to 2-2. And the ball right back at Pelfrey, ricocheted off him towards short.
I think you're right. It looked like Dozier was there, standing right at the bag to turn that into a double play if it hadn't hit him in the ankle. Still nobody out. Tying run at third. And Ramirez at the plate. Strike 1. Handing Pelfrey an early 4-0 lead, but it's almost all gone here in the bottom of the third. One and one.
Some action in the bullpen. Tim Stauffer getting loose.
Roll to third, stepping on the bag, throwing home. A double play. Nice play by Trevor Plouffe, getting the force at third, then giving him some room to throw by drifting into foul territory.
Yeah, very, very nice defensive play by Plouffe. Of course, at third base, this is a force out, so Ramirez hitting the ball toward third. Plouffe fielding the ground ball, getting the force out there. Then there has to be a tag at home. And Chris Herman tagging out Abreu. So a big double play turn behind Pelfrey.
If it had been Jose Abreu hitting that ball, Plouffe may have stopped at third and tried to get an around the horn triple play. But with Ramirez going down the line, there's no way Twins could have gotten a triple play. But perhaps a big double play. Here's Gillespie. Pitch misses. It's almost even now. The Twins with 7, the White Sox with 6. Inside, off the plate, but it's 2-0. Gillespie drove in a run with a single his first time up. Gets a swing and a miss.
Yeah, good off-speed pitch right there. Gillespie looking fastball, swings through that pitch down in the zone.
This will be the 50th pitch for Pelfrey. It just seems like more.
And the 26th pitch of this inning.
And 1 with Soto on deck. Pelfrey's already today had the best and the worst of innings. First inning, 7 pitches. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. He was off the mound before he could work up a sweat. Three and 1. Fastball at 94, a swing and a miss. Full count. The runners will leave early now. Garcia from second, Ramirez from first. Three and 2 to Connor Gillespie. Foul back to the screen. Each team through 4 games scored a total of 7 runs this year before today's game. They've already scored a total of 7 in the first 3 innings today.
And let's keep it at that.
Answer to third. Plouffe on the run, flips to first. Pelfrey gives up just 1, leaves a pair. He comes off the mound with a 1-run lead.
Robinson steps up to bat to start the 4th inning. Here are 3 things you need to know about Sugar Shane. That's his nickname given to him by his teammates when he was with the Cardinals. Also, he enjoys longboarding after games. He tells me it's therapeutic for him and it allows him to clear his head. Final thing, he is a good cook. He says his specialty is hot wings, and there's actually a place called Shane's Rib Shack in his hometown of Atlanta. So, of course, that's where he gets his barbecue sauce. And now we know a little bit more about Sugar Shane Robinson.
All right.
Very nice.
A single, drove in a run, scored a run in his first at bat here today.
Yeah, Shane, 30 years old, signed by the Cardinals in 2006 out of Florida State. Born in Tampa, Florida.
And a strike, 2-1. Robinson, Schaefer, and Santana, some speed due up here against Samardzija. We'll see if any of the 3 can get on base. On the outside corner, 2-2. chopper to the glove of Samardzija. Nice play, reaching for the out.
Yeah, 6'5" Samardzija needed all of his frame right there to reach out and grab that ball before he could slowly get to second base.
Mentioned Samardzija was at Target Field for the All-Star game but didn't participate. He was named to the All-Star team with just 2 wins for the Cubs. But it was at this point last year. He pitched awfully well every time out. The Cubs just never gave him any run support at all. Schaefer takes a strike. So even though he only had a couple of wins, he was one of the better first half pitchers in the National League. Of course, the A's and Tigers were in a furious trade war right before the trade deadline last year. The A's got Samardzija. The Tigers got David Price. Then the A's got John Lester. All dumped into left field. And that is down for a hit. Landing in front of Adam Eaton. And Schaefer's aboard with a 1-out single. Good to see Danny Santana pick up his first 2 hits of the season today.
Yeah, first three games a struggle for Danny Santana. 0 for 12. But here this afternoon, leads the ball game off with a ball down the left field line, and then the second a base hit. That picked up an RBI for Santana, his first of the year.
Twins have done some running against Samardzija and Soto, and teams have done some running against the White Sox. The Royals stole 5 bases against the White Sox in the 3-game series in Kansas City. The Twins have already stolen 3 in this series. Schaefer a base stealer at first. Left center field, chased by Cabrera, and Santana gone on 1 pitch. 2 down, and before Dozier gets to the plate, he has been a game changer for the Twins, as well as all second baseman in Major League Baseball when it comes to leading all second basemen when it comes to power. Since the start of last season, no second baseman has more home runs than Dozier, who now leads the way with 24. That said, I think a pretty good likelihood here that Dozier or that Schaefer will take off from first. And there he goes on the first pitch to Dozier. And it's the 3rd steal in the early innings against the Chicago battery.
And another good time to steal on a breaking ball right there. So Schaefer picking up his first stolen base of the year. Head first slide.
Ooh. Yeah, they may challenge this one. Schaefer looked like he got tagged on the left rib cage before his left hand got on the base. That one very likely will be overturned.
Home plate umpire John Hirschbeck, the crew chief here. So he will take charge of this, along with second base umpire Bill Welke.
In the first inning, Santana stole, and Johnson put the tag on Santana about the same time Santana eventually touched second base. This doesn't appear as close.
Nice quick tag by Johnson at second base.
Sure would anticipate that Schaefer will be the 3rd out. Soto's throw. Pitch called a strike to Dozier. Fingertips hadn't reached the bag yet, and he didn't touch the base with the fingertips, but rather the palm of his hand. York to rule on the play. Again, this year managers are asked not to, in fact, to leave the dugout. And the call has been reversed. And Schaefer is thrown out at second base. And the Twins are done in the 4th inning. Health injury report. More bad news for the Texas Rangers. 1 day into spring training, they lost their ace, Yu Darvish, and now 5 days into the regular season, they'll be without Derek Holland for a good little while with a bad shoulder.
Boy, Holland coming back from that knee surgery is looking forward to a good season. The left-hander back on the DL.
Soto singled his first time up. He's taken ball 1 from Mike Pelfrey back to the full windup. Missing again, 2-0. Pelfrey had a very quick first inning, and he struggled through the second. The second inning wasn't so long, but a lot of balls were hit hard on the first pitch. Pitching to the number 8 batter. Now it's 3-0.
Yeah, 29 pitches in that third inning. 7 in the first, 17 in the second, and then last inning.
Soto given credit for a throwout when it was in reality the second baseman Johnson who turned in a good play to get the sliding. There's a called strike. The sliding Jordan Schaefer. It was a nice catch and tag by the Chicago second baseman. It'll be Soto, Johnson, and Eaton to face Pelfrey here in the 4th. Strike 2, and that's twice now. A catcher's accidentally, I hope, showing up the home plate umpire.
Let's take a look at that fastball away.
Fox tracks presented by Carrier. And fouled away. By Chrysler. Pelfrey pitched through the second and third innings almost exclusively from the stretch. Like to get locked into the windup for a while, but he's going to get the leadoff batter here to do that. Foul tip to the screen. When he pitched in spring training out of the bullpen for the first time, he pitched exclusively from the stretch because he wanted to get accustomed to doing that. In his second spring training relief appearance, he mixed it up and worked from the windup. 8th pitch of this at bat. And there will be a 9th. to left center field. Great at bat for Soto. And he's tied the game. Fouled off a bunch of pitches with 2 strikes and clubs one over the wall. And it's 4 apiece.
Well, they kept challenging him with that fastball, and Soto finally caught up the one. His first home run of the year. And Soto, who was the National League Rookie of the Year back in 2008. In his first season with the White Sox. Ties the game at 4 apiece. Second home run that Pelfrey has allowed.
Fastball center cut, fell high over the middle of the plate, and it's deposited into the seats. Micah Johnson, swing and a miss. Pelfrey struck him out. Big strikeout as it turned out in the second inning. White Sox had 4 hits in their first 5 at bats. Already had scored a couple of runs, had runners at first and second with only 1 out. Johnson struck out, Eaton bounced out, and the White Sox stranded a couple of runners. Now they've tied it. Single run in the 3rd and a quick one here in the 4th. Dribble to Plouffe. And down. More activity now in the Twins bullpen with Pelfrey struggling along after the first inning. Adam Eaton's off to a slow start for the White Sox. 0 for 2 so far today. Leadoff men have gotten a single and 2 home runs against Pelfrey in the last 3 innings. Just wide of the bag at first, 1 strike. Santana rifles it over to Mauer for out number 2. Getting some outs on the ground. Last 6 outs have come on ground balls. There's only been 2 fly ball outs, and they came in the first 2 at bats. That'll bring up Cabrera.
I think we talked between the break, in that second inning. Neil Allen came out and said, hey, maybe he said, let's pitch some off-speed pitches. White Sox were jumping on that first pitch in the second inning.
Up and away, ball 1. In front of the off-speed pitch. Getting all 4 of their runs in the second inning. The White Sox, 2-run inning and a pair of single-run innings. Another off-speed pitch.
I believe that's a split finger right there. Yep.
The ground ball. Out. After the home run, Pelfrey gets 3 ground ball outs. We're tied at 4 after 4. Pepsi. Oh, Pepsi fan of the game.
Yeah, your son Eric with his buddies.
Yeah.
Enjoying the game.
Dozier picked off by Ramirez. Ryan Dozier with a line drive, and Ramirez timed his leap perfectly.
Yes, he did. Ramirez, an all-star for the first time last year for the White Sox. Ryan hitting this ball sharply. Ramirez leaping as high as he can. He's able to get it in his glove. Wow.
One quick out for Samardzija here in the 5th inning. That'll bring up Mauer 0 for 2. Strike on the outside corner. With 8 hits, at least 1 in every inning, and 5 hits, 4 runs in the second. Left field line and back into the seats. 2 strikes.
As a pitcher, you're going to run into bad innings. Samardzija had a bad inning in the 2nd inning where he needed 33 pitches. Twins squad to 5 hits, 4 runs, but has settled down nicely. 18 pitches in the 3rd, only 10 last inning. Pitch count at 80.
Clip the inside corner, 1 and 2.
Samardzija signed by the Cubs in 2006 out of Notre Dame. Not only a baseball player there, also a very good football player. Wide receiver.
Hit pretty well to left. Cabrera going back, still going back, leaps and makes the catch on the drag. Good play by Melky Cabrera on Mauer's liner to the wall.
Very nice concentration by Cabrera. Leaps right there. And Samardzija has his fielders jumping all over the place.
2 down, that'll bring up Vargas. Vargas 0 for 2, struck out in the 1st, and hit a hot ground ball picked up by LaRoche, leading off the 3rd. And a 2-hopper. Very quick 5th inning for Samardzija. A 1, 2, 3, 5th. In a tie game, got a little help from his friends. In a tie ball game.
Games, you bring your Circle Me signs. You may get circled and find yourself in a Minnesota Lottery winner circle where you could win $100 worth of lottery scratch-off tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
Jose Abreu to lead off the 5th inning against Mike Pelfrey. Jammed again on a slow bouncer to Santana. Sends the fire quick out. checked the weather before the game today. The weather for the homestand is supposed to be outstanding. Precipitation in the forecast and some cooler temperatures on Thursday, but for the balance of the homestand, just outstanding weather. Should be a wonderful week of weather at Target Field.
Well, hopefully it's a day like today here in Chicago.
This is perfect for this time of the year, isn't it?
Hardly a cloud in the sky.
One down. Here's Adam LaRoche. He has homered and walked against Pelfrey. Twins will put a pull shift on for LaRoche, but they did that in the second inning, and LaRoche ended up hitting it 420 feet into the seats in left center. Fastball over the inside corner.
You know, when Pelfrey gets that ball back on the mound, he kind of pushes his fingers off of his hip to get that split finger. And then if he doesn't throw it, he'll change it in his glove. Looks like a breaking ball there. There he goes. Put it in the glove. Get the sign. Hitter cannot see if you move that ball around.
Fouled into the seats. 1-2. There he is, jamming that baseball back into the split of his first two fingers. 1-2. That might have been the splitter
there.
Been
it right there. Good location. I think the biggest thing is if you learn a new pitch for a pitcher, spring training, you know, they worked on that, is having the confidence in the game to actually throw it.
Two and two.
And that looked like it again. I think Mike Pelfrey last inning, he threw a lot of them to get some ground ball outs. Off the bat of Eaton, I think it was, off of Cabrera. A little bit of movement. Ball left up a little bit.
It's intended to be a pitch that is delivered low out of the strike zone, maybe even in the dirt. There's a strikeout of LaRoche on an off-speed pitch.
That might have been the splitter right there too. So strikeout number 2 in the ball game for Pelfrey. The idea of a splitter, and Jack Morris would know better than I, it's your arm speed. Looks like a fastball, and because you're putting that ball back in those hands, it just will not come out as fast. But the arm speed looks like a fastball.
2 down, and now Avisail Garcia. That was a perfect split finger pitch, if in fact that's what it was, and it looked like it was. That's where you want to throw it, if not in the dirt. The prior one looked like it was left up and might have been in the strike zone. Very few pitchers who throw that pitch throw it in the strike zone. Juan Berenguer was one of the few guys when he was with the Twins. He would start the thing at the letters, and it would drop down into the strike zone.
Yeah, at about 90 miles an hour.
1 strike to Garcia. Chopped up the middle. Santana over to his left.
Nice play.
Much better inning for Mike Pelfrey as he has a 1-2-3 5th inning. Day is done. Wednesday, it's an epic international showdown in soccer when the United States men's national team takes on Mexico. The Americans looking to extend a 4-year unbeaten streak against their historic rivals at the sold-out Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Coverage begins Wednesday, 7:30 Central, only on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Trevor Plouffe taking strike one from Jeff Samardzija.
You know, if Pelfrey is done, he ended it on a positive. Yes, he gave up the home run, the tying home run to Soto, but after that, 5 of the last 6 outs on ground ball outs, utilizing that split finger, and the other out a strikeout.
Juggled at third by Gillespie, and Plouffe will reach on a Chicago error. The Twins get their leadoff man in the 6th as they try to reclaim the lead.
That ball came up a little bit on Gillespie. Just lost it right there. For Gillespie, his first error of the year. And the second error of the ball game for the White Sox.
Earlier throwing error charged to Soto. Here is Arcia. Single to right his last time up. Swing and a miss, 1 strike. Field shift for the White Sox. Ramirez, the shortstop, lined up right now almost directly behind second base. 0-2. He's trying to take advantage of an extra out here. You can see Ramirez, the shortstop, now with 2 strikes, shifting more to Arcia's pull side. Pitches and Arcia strikes out.
Samardzija just reared back. That last fastball clocked here at 96. Picking up his 4th strikeout. Good fastball, little movement down and away. And Arcia strikes out.
Results better for Samardzija because from up here it appears like he's hitting the edges of the strike zone rather than right down the middle, as was the case. The Twins scored their 4 runs. Here's Herman. Drove in the first Twins run with a triple into the right field corner. Plouffe checked at first. Side, ball 1. One of the ironies of the A's and Tigers pulling out all stops in the pitching department to get ready for October. Neither one lasted very long in October. The A's lost the 1-game wild card game to the Royals. The Royals coming back in the late innings. The Tigers were eliminated by the Orioles in the first round.
First 3 games.
1-0 to Herman. Fouled back. Hit for the cycle early in the second inning, minus the home run. Two and one. One of the other catchers vying for a backup catching spot for the Twins, Josmil Pinto, just hit a walk-off home run for Rochester in their home opener. They were weathered out last night because of rain and wind in Rochester. Trevor May was supposed to start today for Rochester. Instead, he'll start Monday at Target Field. May came here last night and will be with the team for the balance of this series. And we'll get the ball for the home opener against the Royals. Two and one to Herman. Chases. It's 2-2. Very diligent in checking Plouffe at first base.
Plouffe not much of a base stealing threat. 8 career stolen bases in 16 attempts.
Popped up near third. Gillespie shielding his eyes from the sun with his glove makes a fair ball catch. 2 down. And that'll get us to Shane Robinson. Robinson making the start in right field, giving Torrey Hunter a day off. Molitor saying Hunter would only be used in case the Twins needed a stolen base. Torrey put on a base running show in the 9th inning yesterday. Down and in, ball 1.
And that was a heads-up play. I mean, Torrey was taken off for third. The ball was hit to the right of Ramirez at short, and Torrey just kept going, where Ramirez just could not plant his feet until he scored the run.
And set up that base running play with a stolen base in the 9th. And by inning's end, the Twins had 3 more runs. 1-1. Drove in a run with a single, stole a base, scored a run in the 4-run second inning. Twins haven't done much against Samardzija since. Down and in, 2-1. White Sox gave up some of their future. We showed you the players they gave up to get Samardzija for what might be just a 1-year rent-a-player arrangement. Samardzija can be a free agent after this season. Taken 2-2.
They clipped the corner down and away with that fastball. $2,317. The paid today on a gorgeous spring afternoon.
Third strike. Plouffe left the board after the Gillespie error.
Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us.
After 5 innings, 80 pitches, having retired the last 6 batters he faced, Mike Pelfrey's out of the game. J.R. Graham comes in to pitch to the White Sox in the 6th.
Yeah, Graham worked a couple times in Detroit on opening night. He made his major league debut, 2 shutout innings, and then on Wednesday, a third of an inning, faced only 1 batter, got a ground ball out on 1 pitch, making his 3rd major league start.
Face Alexei Ramirez, Connor Gillespie, and Giovanni Soto. In the 3rd inning, when Pelfrey's hold on the lead was slipping away, Twins had Tim Stauffer warming up, but now in a tie game in the 6th, they go to a Rule 5 pickup, and he starts Ramirez with an off-speed pitch and strike 1.
Yeah, Graham with that slider you just saw, fastball, has some movement on it, and he too throws a split finger.
Fastball for strike 2.
Fastball at 95, great location.
Trying to put this politely, and we'll make an attempt here. What Graham showed the Twins field staff was some moxie out there. That's my polite word for it. He nearly struck out Ramirez there, but he didn't seem overwhelmed throughout spring training. Handled his 2 appearances at Comerica Park, showing some calmness and being in control of himself out there after the first pitch. There's the outside corner. He just missed with the 3rd pitch, and he hit it with the 4th pitch.
They painted that corner. John Hirschbeck, who's known to, give you a pretty good strike zone. But a pitcher's pitch right here. See? That's generous.
Fox Tracks
Gotta love
didn't
him.
agree. But 1 down. Here's Connor Gillespie.
And that's the first major league strikeout for Graham.
When the Twins made the decision to make over their bullpen, Jared Burton not back, Anthony Swarzak not back, a lot of people, including me, thought that, well, that opens the door a little wider for Michael Tonkin, Ryan Presley, guys who'd been here before. And in reality, the Twins felt that Graham, a Rule 5 pickup, had outpitched both of those young men who are now in Rochester. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes.
That might have been a splitter right there. Yeah, Graham, a Rule 5 draft out of the Braves organization.
Twins had success early on after picking Scott Diamond off the Braves roster when in the Rule 5 draft. Diamond, of course, a left-handed starter. 2 strikes. A little low. The Twins, as spring training moved along, they put Graham in more, if there is such a thing, pressure-packed situation in spring training, bringing him into ball games with men on base, just to see whether he'd be able to handle himself out there, and so far so good. Tapper foul. Gillespie just barely kept the at bat alive.
4 seasons in the minor league system for the Braves. 19 wins, 12 losses. He mainly used as a starter. 61 starts in 74 appearances. Very good 3.37 ERA.
The relief corps a little short right now. We mentioned it before. Casey Fiend's got what is hoped to be just some minor shoulder stiffness. He was unavailable yesterday. He had a little workout today, which I'm guessing would make him unavailable yet today. So the right-handed relievers without Fiend are Stauffer, Boyer, and Graham. Missed the inside corner, now a full count.
Tell you what, he's thrown 10 pitches. I don't think he has been above the knee more than, maybe a foot. Everything is down in the strike zone.
That's not bad, is it?
Oh, that's outstanding.
Want to walk Gillespie. Soto on deck.
Herman creeping away.
Ball back.
Gillespie, that ball probably the first one up in the zone. Graham, 6 foot tall, 195. Signed by the Royals in 2011 out of Santa Clara University.
We talked about it before. 3-2 to Gillespie. Another foul. Pitched in 27 games last year. Gave up a home run in just one game. 2 of them in that game. But to back up your point about his ability to keep the ball down, he's done that for the most part here in the big leagues, and he did it last year for Mississippi, the Double-A team of the Braves.
Well, in the minor leagues, only 10 home runs allowed in 313 innings.
Another 3-2 pitch. Hit hard to right, and it's a 1-out single. And another good at bat for Connor Gillespie.
Well, you don't want to walk him, you challenge him, and Gillespie won the battle right there.
3 2-strike fouls, and now a line drive single to right. That'll bring up Soto, who tied the game his last time up.
Yeah, he battled Mike Pelfrey, fouled off some pitches, finally got one up, and hit his first home run of the year. That tied the game at 4 apiece. One more thing on Pelfrey. Of the 15 outs, 11 ground ball outs.
Here's Soto. Soto with a single and a home run to start today because of his familiarity with today's starting pitcher, Jeff Samardzija, who might very well be asked to go out there and pitch the 7th because there's no one warming up in the Chicago bullpen.
Samardzija's at 98 pitches. There's a breaking ball for strike 1.
Graham's numbers last year not overwhelming by any means. Averaged just over 3 innings when he was a starter. High fly center field. Schaefer back. And he makes the catch on the warning track. 2 down.
Right at the 400-foot mark.
And that will bring up the number 9 batter, Micah Johnson. Johnson 0 for 2, struck out in the 2nd. Ground ball to Plouffe in the 4th. And Herman
taking a little extra time.
Going out to the mound to talk to Graham.
Well, Thompson warming up in the bullpen.
A couple years ago, Graham had some shoulder issues that shortened his development. High fastball gets a swing and a miss.
I mean, he had a great year in 2012 in the Brave organization. His 2nd year, he was minor league pitcher of the year. Between single A and double A, combined 12 and 2, 2.80 ERA, and then had some injuries.
And a called strike on the outside corner. The 3 runs that the Twins got in the 9th inning yesterday, and that allowed them to get through the game with just 2 pitchers. And that might come in handy today with Pelfrey going just 5. Graham asked to pitch through the 6th here. 0-2. Foul back. Might have a ways to go here yet. There's an outside chance that Trevor May would be available to pitch, even though he is penciled in to pitch on Monday. He's brought here as some insurance in case the Twins have a Yankee Red Sox game that keeps going and going and going. Graham trying to finish off the White Sox in the 6th. to make the big jump from Double-A to the big leagues. Give you a reflection of the state of affairs here in the Twins bullpen. Here's a Rule 5 guy, and teams generally try to ease those guys in here. But Graham, the first right-handed option out of the bullpen in a tie game in the 6th inning.
Ooh, just missed, down and away.
He's stuck one there a few times and gotten the call once or twice. Just missed the corner. 1-2.
Herman trying to frame it. Just off the plate. Not by much.
There it is. And Johnson doesn't like the call. It's a good inning for J.R. Graham. A scoreless 6th, and we head to the 7th, tied at 4.
Tino Scouting report. Twins took a 4-0 lead into the bottom of the 2nd inning, but LaRoche got one back. Garcia ended up scoring on an RBI single off the bat of Gillespie, made it a 4-2 ball game. Another run in the bottom of the 3rd for the White Sox, and then Soto's home run tied the game in the 4th.
And the Grand Casino story of the game. Jeff Samardzija is out there for the 7th inning. First pitch fouled back by Jordan Schaefer. Schaefer 1 for 2, a strikeout and a single. He thought he had a stolen base. The White Sox appealed or challenged. And that was, as it turned out, the end of the Twins' 4th inning. They haven't had a hit since. Samardzija really roughed up in the 4-run 2nd inning. Another one fouled back.
But to his credit, he has really settled down nicely. 100 pitches right now. You see the 33 needed in the 2nd inning, 49 in the first 2, but right now at 100.
2 strikes quickly to Jordan Schaefer. Just missed the inside corner. Soto looking over his right shoulder. Now the White Sox dugout's giving John Hirschbeck a little heat.
Soto kind of held that ball for a little bit too.
Don Cooper from the railing giving Hirschbeck some feedback, and it's still going on. Hirschbeck looking over at the Chicago pitching coach. One and 2. Schaefer trying to get a board here to start the 7th. Up high, 2-2. Schaefer, Santana, Dozier. Say the same thing we said in the fourth inning. The Twins have some speed up here. They'd like to get any or all three on base if they can. And now 3-2. Chop to the right side. Micah Johnson from the outfield grass. And LaRoche is able to keep his foot on the bag, reaching for an errant throw. Down. Combine your love of the Twins and the Golden Gophers by attending University of Minnesota night at Target Field May 1st against the White Sox. You can find out how to see the game, receive a limited edition maroon and gold Twins cap like the one Glenn Perkins is wearing there. Visit twinsbaseball.com/U of M for tickets and more information. Here's Danny Santana. Hit the ball to the opposite field 3 times. He has 2 hits and a fly ball. And he offered at it. Strike 1. May have actually made contact with the ball and went to the backstop, but 1 strike to Santana. Santana in his first 2 at-bats in Detroit simply could not have hit the ball any harder than he did. Ian Kinsler with a great catch. Castellanos, the third baseman, caught his first drive. And Santana didn't make much solid contact for the balance of the series. 1-2. The end of the bat, and Gillespie goes out 2 down. 5 games into the season, and the White Sox are still looking for their first quality start because of the 4-run second inning. This will not be a quality start for Samardzija, but as you said, he's done a wonderful job righting the ship.
Yeah, he really has. You know what? Sometimes you can look at a quality start and say, well, yeah, 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. How did he do? But to me, this is a quality start because he struggled in the first 2 innings, but he has kept his club in the game, allowed them to come back and tie it.
And here he is getting outs in the 7th inning. Dozier takes a strike. An RBI double for Dozier in the 2nd. And then in the 5th, he hit the first pitch. He thought to left field, but was intercepted by Alexei Ramirez.
Well, it'll be Chris Sale pitching for the White Sox tomorrow, but right now at 111 pitches for Samardzija, I don't know if they're going to let Chris Sale go that far into the game.
I wouldn't think so, and that might be one of the reasons why they're asking him to get some outs here in the 7th. They're not really sure what they're going to get from Chris Sale. It'll be his first outing against major league hitters. He didn't have much of a spring training in terms of getting on the mound. He pitched in some minor league games. 2 strikes to Dozier. Just off the outside corner, and John Hirschbeck looking right away into the Chicago dugout. And Don Cooper is going to get tossed out of the game here very quick.
Well, Don Cooper kind of putting his hands up. I didn't say anything. This is when you're a player, you stand right behind Don Cooper and you yell.
John Hirschbeck giving the "I'm watching you" sign, and boy, he sure did after that pitch.
Wow.
He no sooner made the ball call, and he looked right into the Chicago dugout. And Dozier's called out on that one. And Hirschbeck walks a few steps toward the Chicago dugout. The Twins go down in order in the 7th. 4-4 going to the bottom of the 7th inning. Girls on the run. Twin Cities uses running to inspire girls to be healthy and confident. Saturday, May 30th, join the Fox Sports North girls at the University of Minnesota for the Girls on the Run Spring 5K. And as we established yesterday, that's half the distance of a 10K. To register, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on upcoming events. Aaron Thompson comes out of the Twins bullpen to pitch to the White Sox in the 7th.
Yeah, Thompson making his second appearance. Worked on Wednesday in Detroit. A couple innings, allowed a run. And that Twins 11-0 loss.
Another example of the remade Twins bullpen. It's Thompson, the third left-handed reliever, not Caleb Thielbar. Thielbar on the Rochester roster. And as Terry Ryan pointed out the other day, the whole Irvin Santana saga impacted two players, not just one. It allowed Mike Pelfrey to move back into the rotation, which was what he wanted. And then that created a roster spot, and the Twins used that to bring up Aaron Thompson. Pelfrey out of the game. And now Thompson in. Bouncer to the right side. Berger has to hurry. And flies down the line.
Yes,
one down.
Does. Good
One
breaking
way.
ball, good location, creates that ground ball out.
That'll bring up Melky Cabrera. Whenever Irvin Santana comes back from his suspension, he will have to do what Cabrera, by most standards, has successfully done. Not that it will ever be forgotten that he was suspended for PED use, but it's not the first thing you think of anymore, at least not me. He's put enough time between his suspension, and now people, I think, just generally think of him as a pretty good baseball player, and ultimately that's what Irvin Santana is going to have to do. But it does and will take time. 1-0, and now 2-0.
Cabrera, switch hitter, 0 for 7 so far as a right-handed hitter.
Strike call, 2-1. Thompson up with the Twins a little bit last year.
He was called up when the Houston Astros claimed Samuel Doduno off of waivers. Spent September with the team.
It's the outside corner twice.
Cabrera doesn't like that call. Asking John Hirschbeck where that was politely, I'm sure.
And the dirt, 3-2.
Thompson, 28 years old. Came up with the Pirates in 2011. Only 4 appearances, 1 start. And last year for the Twins, 7 relief appearances.
Taking ball, lifted foul. When we get to the 8th inning, we'll almost certainly get into the White Sox bullpen.
I'd have to say Samarz's day is done. 113 pitches.
Duke, a left-hander, warming up for the White Sox. Blaine Boyer's warming up in the Twins pen, right-hander. And Cabrera strikes out and has some words for John Hirschbeck as he leaves home plate. 2 down. CarSoup.com trivia question. I'm going to adjust my answer to 5 ± 3. 7, which means
ding, ding, ding.
yeah,
ding.
the last one before yesterday's combined shutout. Francisco Liriano's no-hitter in early May back in 11. You missed that one.
Yes, I did. It's on vacation.
Had a long way, but hooking foul, 1 strike. Now we're working with Ron Coomer, who now does games on radio for the North Side team here in Chicago. We'll get a chance to see him later this summer. when the Cubs come to Target Field.
And I bet he'll have a smile on his face, too.
Always. One strike to Abreu, with Thompson trying to pitch a clean 7th inning. Bounce to short. Santana fumbles it. Comes up firing and still got him. Awareness of who the runner is, and Santana is able to recover from a boot to throw out Abreu. Sox, they played till what, 2:30 in the morning, and then they had a day game today. The Yankees losing them both. Zach Duke comes out of the Chicago bullpen to pitch to the Twins in the 8th.
Yeah, Duke, one time a starter for the Pittsburgh Pirates, mainly now used as a reliever. Had a good year last year for the Milwaukee Brewers, 5-1 in 74 relief appearances. Signed a 3-year contract with the White Sox over the winter.
One strike to Mauer. Hitless today. Hit the ball hard his last time up. Dropping down a little sidearm. Mauer takes 1-1. Joe last year hit .268 against lefties. There's a soft line drive, and Ramirez again from the outfield grass pulls it down, 1 away. Soft line drive for the first out. Can put down the yard tools, pick up your glove, check out the new 2015 Weekend Warrior ticket package. Get all Friday, all Saturday, or all Sunday home games. Become a Twins season ticket holder today. Get your ticket this summer. Call 833-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com/Weekend Warrior for more info or to place a deposit. Vargas takes a strike. Vargas had a wide split between righties and lefties last year, hitting over 300 against righties as a left-handed batter, just .228 against lefties. He did hit 1 home run in 92 at bats as a right-handed batter. 2 strikes.
Well, so far this year, 2 hits and 5 at-bats as a right-handed hitter. Both of them singles.
Down and away, 1-2. sidearm to strike out Vargas 2 down.
A big sweeping breaking ball down and in. So Duke picks up a strikeout.
Bring up Trevor Plouffe.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
Since getting 5 hits in the second inning, the Twins have collected just 2 hits. Plouffe reached on an error his last time up. He started the 4-run second with a leadoff double.
That's why you have to say Zamarza, even though not a quality start, did a great job. Last hit for the Twins was Schaefer's single in the 4th inning.
Outside 1-1. Zamarza won't get a win, another no decision. That's pretty much how his season went last year in the north side of Chicago. 1-1 to Trevor Plouffe. And fouled back.
Well, Duke, 31 years old, up with the Pirates in 2005. He's pitched for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Washington Nationals, Cincinnati Reds, Brewers. His first season with an American League team.
Late innings, tie ball game. So, of course, the White Sox are in the no doubles defense. Outfield playing deep, and you can see where Gillespie is. Virtually impossible for Trevor to get the ball past Gillespie down the line. They'll give up a single perhaps, but they don't want to give up an extra base hit.
A good take right there by Plouffe. That's the same pitch that struck out Vargas. That breaking ball down and in.
Full count to Plouffe with Arcia on deck. And he takes a walk. Base runner aboard, and we'll see what Arcia can get done here. He's going to be pinch hit for by Torrey Hunter. So Hunter for Arcia. White Sox have a right-hander warming up.
I thought he's only going to be used if he needed to steal a base. Torrey's first pinch hitting appearance.
Javi Guerra is warming up in the Chicago pen, but it will be left to Duke to try to retire Hunter and get the White Sox off the field. Couple of singles and 16 at bats. And he takes ball 1. 4 strikeouts, no walks for Torrey. Of course, no runs batted in. One very impressive run scored yesterday. He has not hit the ball hard. The 2 for 16 suggests that. His base hit in the 9th inning yesterday, about a 7-hopper up the middle, but then he stole second, made the alert base running play to open up the lead in the 9th. 1-1 from Duke. Chip to the right side. LaRoche feeds the pitcher, and Duke eventually gets a foot on the bag, and it's a scoreless top of the 8th. Perhaps to face just Adam LaRoche, left-handed batter. Garcia and Ramirez, right-handed batters, are due up next. Big swing and a miss. We were about in the second inning at this time of the day yesterday, and it was about that time we mentioned the shadows starting to creep out. And Roy Smalley said, yeah, it does make it more difficult for hitters, and I would think as the game lengthens here, it would become more and more of a factor. Foul back, 2 strikes. We just seem to see about this juncture of the day yesterday a lot of swings and misses. And now LaRoche with 2 strikes will face the shadows of home plate and an infield shift for the Twins. 0-2.
You know, I talked to Dan Gladden about that. You know, when did the ball be hard to pick up? And he said usually, now I know Roy and Danny were a little bit different in their thinking, because he said once that ball, the pitcher's in the sun, once that ball hits the shadow area, then it's hard to pick up.
An excuse me roller to first. And on a check swing, LaRoche retired, 1 away. Smalley's contention was when the mound is in shadows and the batter's eye is illuminated with bright sunshine.
Right.
Now later in the day yesterday there was more cloud cover, so it was less of an issue. But comes Paul Molitor. He is going to get Thompson, who had a nice outing here with 4 up, 4 down. He kept the ball in the infield for an inning and a third. And Thompson does his job. We've got a tie game with 1 gone in the 8th. Blaine Boyer will pitch next. Season special ticket offer at Target Field. The Torrey Territory offer, April 17th through the 19th. Package includes a ticket in the Great Clips Great Seats in right field, where you can cheer on Torrey, his new position, at least for the Twins. Also get $10 in food and beverage credit, plus a Torrey Territory t-shirt. Get your tickets at twinsbaseball.com/Hunter.
Yeah, Blaine Boyer coming into the ballgame. Good job by both relievers prior to Boyer making his 3rd relief appearance. He worked an inning and a third on Thursday against the Tigers. Gave up a run.
Foul back, 1 strike.
Boyer, 33 years old. He kind of left baseball in 2012. Then signed with the Kansas City Royals in 2013. That did not work out. Went to Japan to pitch. Then signed by the Padres. Spent some time with the Padres last year.
Strike on the outside corner, and Garcia animated with that strike call. Keeping his mouth closed. keeping himself in the game. 0-2.
Herman way outside.
One hop skip picked up by Santana, across to Bauer, 2 down. A lot of ground ball outs for the Twins in this game. 15 ground ball out. Belfry got 11. Graham actually didn't get one. He got 2 strikeouts though. Ground ball outs for Thompson, or 3 in his inning and a third, and now Garcia retired on a ground ball. Here's Alexei Ramirez. David Robertson warming up for the White Sox. And Fox Tracks is presented by Carrier. Ramirez 0 for 3. A couple of ground balls and a strikeout. On the ground, backhanded by Santana. From the outfield, grass, Bauer can't hang on. Tried to drop a tag on Ramirez. And he did, but the ball rolled free. A 2-out base runner, and an error should be charged, I suspect, to Santana.
Well, I tell you what, Ramirez gets on that ball quickly, but I thought Santana made a great play on that little short hop, but then showing off his arm, which he has a great one, just high. Joe leaping up, trying to tag the runner, and the ball fell out of the glove.
Giving him a base hit. I don't agree, but
a good throw would have had him.
Here's Gillespie. Boyer steps off.
There, Dozier at second base yelling something, and Boyer stepped off. Maybe keep an eye on Ramirez at first. 21 stolen bases last year and 25 attempts.
Down and in, ball 1. Last year, Gillespie 131 hits for the White Sox and 43 extra base hits. Seeing the Twins do some running on the White Sox, this might be an opportunity for the White Sox to return the favor. Quick to the plate, and Boyer hits the outside corner. Gillespie's displeased with that strike call, but he stepped out of the box.
Boyer's pitch for the Braves, Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Mets, Padres. As Duke, his first season with an American League team.
Long look into Herman. Now he's ready. Chopper into the right field corner. Ramirez to second. On his way to third. He'll be held there with Hunter closing on that ball right on the baseline.
Gillespie picking up his third hit of the ball game. His first double. His second double of the year. Kind of served softly down that right field line.
He chopped it over the head of Bauer, but it was a soft liner.
Breaking ball stayed up a little bit. Torrey did a good job get over there. And Ramirez and his speed with 2 outs. He's off with a crack of the bat. Joe McEwen, the third base coach, holding him up.
J.B. Shuck is going to hit for Soto. With a base open and 2 out.
Neil Allen, the pitching coach, out to talk to Boyer. Shuck, a newcomer to the White Sox.
Shuck very fast. Second and third. With a couple of 2-out hits for the White Sox here in the 8th. They now about hit the Twins 10-8. Herman with a nice save.
Good shot by Herman.
Ball 1.
Shuck last year with the Angels and the Indians played in only 38 ball games. Hit only 145.
First real scoring threat for either team in quite a while. The outside corner 1-1.
Shuck, a good minor league hitter in the Astros, Angels, and Indians organization, a .304 minor league hitter.
Base hit left field. Ramirez scores. Second runner coming around. Throw from right left field. Herman with the tag. Gillespie thrown out. Shane Robinson on the fly getting it to Herman. But the White Sox take the lead on 3 straight 2-out hits.
Well, Shuck comes up with that big pinch hit base hit. If Robin Ventura challenges the play at home.
The running lane issue, and again, this is one of the things I think baseball needs to eventually clarify before something happens in the postseason. Herman did not give the runner a sliding lane, but the throw was right over home plate.
Right.
White Sox take the lead in the bottom of the 8th. White Sox with their first lead of this series. The Twins scored the first 4 runs of the game. Chris Herman will hit in the ninth with the Twins down a run, and he'll try to do some hitting against the new Chicago closer.
Yeah, that being David Robertson, signed a 4-year contract over the winter with the Chicago White Sox. Of course, he became the closer in New York after Mariano Rivera retired. 39 saves last year for the Yankees.
First save opportunity for the new Chicago closer. It'll be Chris Herman leading off the ninth. Shane Robinson in the on-deck circle. Jordan Schaefer would hit third. Strike one. Twins with a 3-man bench that they've already used one, with Eduardo Escobar back in the Twin Cities visiting his newborn son. Only available bench players are Kurt Suzuki and Eduardo Nunez. 2 strikes.
Robertson with a fastball, little cutter, very good curveball, and a changeup.
He's got swing and a miss stuff in full daylight, and Herman's only got half of that to work with. Fouled back.
Last year, 39 saves in 63 relief appearances, 64 in a third innings, 96 strikeouts.
Takes one in the dirt. 1-2. Tyler Flowers catching. Twins with 8 hits, 6 of them in the first 2 innings, 5 of them in the second inning alone. Gotten a hit since the 4th. And down. What's next, brought to you by CenturyLink.
Good pitchers duel tomorrow. Phil Hughes looking for his first win against Chris Sale, making his first appearance on the year.
Shane Robinson will hit 1 for 3 on the day with a very strong throw from left field, ending the 8th inning. We've had a couple of assists late in the games here in Chicago from about the same spot on the field. Swing and a miss. 3 straight 2-out hits. The first of questionable hit could have been ruled an error that allowed the White Sox to score the 5th run of the game. One and one.
The electric stuff.
One and two. And doing all he can to just make contact.
That's the curveball right there. It's a hard curveball. Meaning hard by hard spin.
One and two. On the outside corner, 2 down. And the Twins will hope Schaefer can extend the game.
Well, straight over the top. That little cutter. I wonder who taught him that.
And now Schaefer hoping to keep the game alive for Santana behind him. Over for strike one, another breaking ball.
That's the curveball there. At 84 miles an hour.
This one at 83 and a wild swing and a miss, 0-2.
It's got that tight spin.
Throwing a fastball, 1-2.
If this game holds up, Duke will get the win, but you have to credit Samardzija by what he was able to do after the second inning to keep the club in the game.
You'd expect that from a veteran starter, a former All-Star, wouldn't you? Yep. 2-2. On the outside corner. At 94 miles per hour. The White Sox are the last team in the American League to get a win. Tom had them an impressive win because the Twins jumped out in front 4-0, but end up losing 5-4.